The military station on the edge of the forest was isolated from the rest of the world, a desolate place where soldiers trained and waited for orders. The barracks were old and cramped, with narrow beds and thin blankets. The only entertainment was a small TV in the common room, which only showed grainy black and white images. The night was quiet as usual, with only the sound of crickets outside. But something was different tonight. The air was thick with tension, as if the soldiers were all holding their breath. They could sense that something was about to happen, something big and terrifying. Suddenly, there was a loud crash, as if something had broken through the fence outside. The soldiers jumped out of their beds and grabbed their weapons, rushing to the windows to see what was happening. That's when they saw it. A massive creature was lumbering towards the barracks, its eyes glowing in the dark. It was easily 10 feet tall, with long arms and legs that ended in razor-sharp claws. Its skin was covered in thick fur, and its face was twisted into a snarl. The soldiers were frozen in terror, unable to move or speak. They had never seen anything like this before, and they knew that they were no match for it. The creature reached the barracks and began pounding on the door, its massive fists leaving deep dents in the metal. The soldiers could hear its heavy breathing and the sound of its claws scraping against the ground. They knew they had to act fast. The commanding officer ordered them to open fire, and they began shooting at the creature with everything they had. But the bullets seemed to have no effect, bouncing harmlessly off its thick fur. The creature roared in anger, and the soldiers could feel the sound reverberating through their bodies. It was a sound that they would never forget, a primal scream that spoke of pure rage and power. The commanding officer knew that they had to come up with a plan, and fast. He ordered the soldiers to retreat to the back of the barracks, where they could access the armory. They ran as fast as they could, their hearts pounding in their chests. They could hear the creature's massive footsteps behind them, getting closer and closer. They reached the armory and quickly grabbed their heavy weapons, hoping that they would be enough to take down the creature. They loaded their rifles and checked their ammunition, their hands shaking with fear and adrenaline. The creature burst through the door, its massive frame filling the room. The soldiers opened fire, their weapons ringing out in the night, but the creature was unfazed, its thick skin and fur absorbing the impact of the bullets. The soldiers knew that they were running out of time. They had to think of something, anything, to stop the creature before it destroyed them all. That's when one of the soldiers had an idea. He grabbed a canister of gasoline from the armory and threw it at the creature. Another soldier threw a lit match, and the creature was engulfed in flames. It roared in agony, its massive body writhing in pain. The soldiers continued to shoot at it, their bullets finding their mark now that the creature was distracted. Finally, the creature collapsed to the ground, its massive form still smouldering. The soldiers stood there for a moment, catching their breath and trying to process what had just happened. They knew that they had just faced something that was beyond their wildest nightmares, something that they never could have imagined. And they also knew that they would never forget this night, that it would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The next morning, the military investigators arrived at the station, trying to piece together what had happened. They found the burnt remains of the creature, but they could not identify it. The soldiers were all interviewed, but none of them could give a clear description of the creature. It was as if it had come from another world, a world of nightmares and darkness. The military station was shut down soon after, deemed too dangerous for any human occupation. The barracks were left to rot, the armory locked up tight. The soldiers who had survived that night were transferred to other stations, but they could never forget what had happened. Years later, rumors began to circulate about a secret military project, one that had gone horribly wrong. Some said that the creature was a result of genetic experiments, while others claimed that it was an alien from another planet. But no one could say for sure what had happened that night, or what the creature really was. All that remained were the memories of the soldiers who had faced it, and the knowledge that there are some things in this world that should never be unleashed.